Manufacturers use things like decals to pretty up their product. Unfortunately, these sorts of things don't last too well in Australia's weather, and soon they're crazed or cracked or looking very unsightly. Hopefully this video will give you some ideas on how to remove the vinyl and patch up any other little blemishes. We're using a 2000 watt hot air gun, but you could use a hairdryer of similar power. But in order to get under the edge of it, you need to pick it up with something. And I'm using a stick that I've sanded nice and sharp on the edge, just any old piece of wood. And that'll help to sort of get up under the edge of it. Once you've got a visible edge that you can pull on, then it's easy going. Again, if it's too hot for you to touch, well then it's too hot for the job. You definitely don't want it too hot. And when you feel you've got the temperature right, the vinyl will start coming away. When you think you've peeled a little bit of the paint off, you just have to be very careful. It's not really the original paint, it's come off the back of the vinyl, because the vinyl is in two layers. It's got white and then it's got the two different blues. When it's getting a little too supple, take the heat away and just reapply it sparingly. As they say on the old sailing ships, steady as she goes. Don't try to rush it. Just apply a firm pressure here. And if it's coming away too freely, back off with the heat. For odd little bits, you could try using some of the sticky vinyl, rub it over and peel it up. Just press it down and rub it over, heat it a bit, peel it up, and you may get those last little bits off. Okay, we mentioned before how to get rid of the residue that melts off from some areas of the process. So if you get yourself some metho, put it on a clean rag and just put it on the area that you need to clean, and then just give it a gentle rub and it comes off. Okay, so that's bringing that off beautifully. Again, some metho. I wouldn't suggest terps, it may not work, and I certainly would never suggest acetone, because that will eat into the actual paint that you've already got. You don't want to lose it. So there we go, metho is bringing that off nicely. And we've just got the last of it. Probably good to just dab it on a little bit for starters, and then it soaks in, and then you can just rub it away. Hey, voila, there it is, all done. So now we come to the point of trying to restore the luster from the old and where the protected surface is. You know, we've taken the vinyl away now, but this has been exposed for years and it needs rejuvenation to match the other side. So I'm just going to use a basic product here, liquid cut and polish. I think any polish would do the trick, but as always, put a little bit on the rag, get a clean rag. You can do the surface cutting away a bit. make a little pad up out of it. Put a little bit of weight into it. And you can check every now and then with the fresh part of the rag and see how you're going with that. So that's starting to come up rather nicely. Any motorised polisher will do the job as long as you've got a decent lamb's wool polisher pad on it. I'm using a random orbital buffer. It's a 3000 rev model and it should do the job. So we put it on the job first and then start it up. Right, well that's starting to look a lot better as well. So persevere with that and see how you go with it. But you've got to remember that this surface here under the vinyl has come from the factory. That's how it was from the factory. And this surface has had a couple of years, in this case 4 years, of being exposed to all the elements. We've even got a little chip here where the paint's come off and some little dabs here from stones and flying particles. But this area is like new and this area is aged, but I'm going to be quite happy with that. It'll certainly look a lot better than what the old vinyl was like before. It'll pay to check around your RV and see what else you've got in the way of vinyl that might be starting to craze. You usually look for the areas that are exposed to the sun. We've got an area here starting to look a bit jaded, so I think that'll be probably the next area that I'll be peeling off. Oh well, never rains but it pours. Another area that gets a lot of sun. It didn't respond too well when I got into it with a gurney. I'm not ready to yet take all the vinyl off on this side of the motorhome, and yet we've got little areas like this starting. So I think the best thing will be to just tidy those up a bit by trimming with a Stanley knife so that it looks like it was meant to be. If you've got some salvage from the former area where you took the vinyl off, it may be possible to put a new piece in. So what I'm going to do is try and put this over where it was. Might get another year or so out of it. Put it in there like that. Press it down. Using a fingernail to guide you, just trim down to roughly where it went, and then peel that area back and some may even just leave it like that. That's quite good. But if you wanted to, you could trim the former area underneath and then let it lay a lot flatter, being very careful and guide it around. Very slow stroke. Again, must use a nice clean edge on that knife. So we've cut the same profile as the top and we'll just peel that profile out underneath. Don't go too deep because remember, you're not cutting into metal now, you're cutting into the fiberglass. So we're getting that bit nicely off. Right, we get our original piece and we're going to relay it like so. And just lay that down with the back of your fingernail, and I think that's quite a respectable repair. A little bit of glue line there which we can pare back. Might need a little bit of solvent on that, but look, overall that's fairly acceptable repair. When you zoom back, it's not as bad, not as noticeable. So this is an area that I want to repair. It's always been worrying me, but I got into it a bit heavy with a gurney on one occasion after a muddy sojourn, and cleaned all the mud off here, and we took a bit of the vinyl off. But obviously you can see we've got different colours, but this one I'm happy with, so we've still got some stickiness there. Right, I've trimmed it to roughly the shape I need. It's just a matter now of putting it over the old patch and trying to get the thing to line up a bit. That's about it. Right, so I'll trim that out. Right, now what we have to do, you can see the valley, the little valleys, you can see that in a certain shade. I'm coming down so that I go just a little outside that valley and cover the area that we have to cover over and hide. There we go. Let's see how we go on that one. Now, we've got to trim the underneath side, because that's at the moment preventing the top patch from sitting down level. You just come down very carefully. Again, use the new edge of a blade. Come down and follow that around as best you can. The top patch up again. And remove the substrate, because you don't want that to keep holding it up in the air. A vinyl underneath, which is not helping. Anyway, so I'm happy enough with that. Now we'll lay the original patch back over it. Oh, it's not that perfect, but it takes the mind's eye off it. There you go. As I say, the day will come and I'll have to remove the lot, so I think that for now. Now if you find the next day that the sticky back is just not cutting the mustard, the idea would be just to take the whole strip away and then clean it with some metho. This gets rid of the old residue. It's also an idea to clean the back of the strip as well with the metho and let that dry. Now the next step would be just to mask up the area with masking tape, or as in my case I've got some packing tape that'll do the job. But that's only to mask the area from the spray contact adhesive when I spray that on. Need to give the spray adhesive a pretty good shake, which I've already done. Now a very light spray is all you need, and then also on the back of the piece you're going to glue back on, just a very light spray. That's it. Depending on the temperature of the day, give it up to a minute or so, maybe a tad longer if it's not quite tacky. We've got the new patch. Use the edge of the knife to just flatten it down. And voila, very, very hard to even see where the patch has been. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope that's been of some help to you. Keep your RV looking good and you'll keep the resale high.